Okay, so I'm gonna do, this is one problem dealing with the ellipse that was just up there, which would be one that is stretched more horizontal. So again, like with the parabolas you had, most of this is you being able to pull out the correct numbers from the equation in order to find everything at once. So it wants the two focus points. It's my vertices. And then major axis length and minor axis length. The things that are probably easiest to pull out with an ellipse are going to be these three right here. Okay? Because like these three right here come from whatever numbers are being divided by. All right? Like the two focus points you get by actually having to do a little bit of work. Okay? All right, so the two numbers that are being divided are those two. I would hope you understand this is larger than 16, correct? 49 bigger than 16?
Yes.
So that means that that would be my a squared, that's the b squared. So a squared will always be the larger number. Even if I didn't tell you ahead of time, like we haven't done the ones that are stretched vertically, but even if I didn't say prior to this problem that this would be one that's horizontal, meaning that my vertices are going to be some number here and then 0. As long as the bigger number is beneath the x coordinate, this is telling you essentially which one to change. If I had the larger number on below the y, then I would just start changing y coordinate. Okay, so major axis length. Which value do I have to use? What do I have on there for major axis length? 2 times what?
A.
2a. So if a squared is 49, what's a?
7.
Very good. So this should be 14. Minor axis is just twice the other number, so if b squared 16b is, so this is 8. The vertices are at the endpoints of your major axis, but this is just going to be plus or minus whatever a is. So these three you pull out strictly from those numbers. This is the only one you have to do a little bit of work for. Okay, so on your paper it should say plus or minus, correct? Okay, and I gave you the thing at the bottom that said how you find c squared, right? It should say c squared equals something.
A squared minus b squared.
Okay, a squared we said is 49, b squared is 16. What's 49 minus 16? What is it?
33.
33. Okay, so here's the thing. When you guys do a square root of that, it's not a perfect square, so just leave it there. So this will become plus or minus square root of 33. And if you had to graph this, all right, so this one here, guys, would be, again, major axis going vertical because the larger number is beneath y squared. Because your two numbers would be 9 and 25. This one is the larger number, so that's my a squared. That's the smaller one, so that's my b squared. Meaning, what's square root of 9? 3. What's square root of 25? 5. So I got my a's and b's. So again, as long as I can pull out a and b quick, I should be able to get the vertices, the major axis and the minor axis fairly quickly. The minor axis should be 6, right? 2 times b. Major is 10. In this case, since the 25 again is beneath the y squared, that means that my x is not changing from the center, but the y coordinates are, and they change the value of a. So again, the only thing you have to do work on really is to find that part. That's just because the thing's already in standard form, so it gives you a little bit less work to do. How do you find c squared again?
A squared minus
It's b squared. So c squared should be 25 minus 9. What's 25 minus 9?
A number.
Ah.
16.
A number.
So c is 4. And again, guys, the two focus points go in the same direction as the vertices. So if you change the y-coordinate for the vertices, you got to do the same thing for the focus points. Okay? So guys, we're doing the same thing now. We got this problem. So the difference between the first two I did and this one is this one doesn't start in standard form. If you have a problem today, it doesn't start in standard form. What you want to do is you want to get it so x squared and y squared are by themselves on one side. You want your constant on the other one. So if I had like another number added or subtracted here, I would move it over to this side first. Once it's in a form like this where I've got x squared, I got y squared, and I got a constant, then I remember for standard form I want this side to be 1. So to make this side 1, I have to divide everything by whatever that number is. So I'm dividing everything by 36. Okay? Once you're there, to get it fully into standard form, okay? The other thing you have to know with standard form is the x squared and y squared, you do not want any number in front of it. So that means if you've got a fraction, you need to reduce it. And hopefully when you reduce it, it gets it so it just says x squared divided by a number and y squared divided by a number. So in this case here, 9 over 36 does reduce, correct?
Yes.
To what?
1 over 4.
4. This should become y squared over
9.
All right.
Wait, isn't A supposed to be bigger than B?
It is.
Oh,
So it's a vertical one. Okay?
Yeah, A is bigger.
All right, so now, once I have it there, okay, now it's in standard form because I've got 1 x squared on top, I got 1 y squared on top, and I got a 1 over there. 9 is the bigger number, so that's a squared. So that means that this would be a vertical one, like stretched vertically. 4 is smaller, so that's b squared. Square root of 9 is, what's square root of 9? Quick.
3.
Square root of 2, or square root of 4.
2.
I'm already giving you.
What is this? That's math.
Okay.
Prize? Prize?
Okay, so if I pulled out the same numbers, right? Major axis and minor axis all come from A and B, so 2 times A would give me 6. 2 times B would give me 4. The vertices are all related to A, and since the larger number was over the Y, or under the Y, that means I'm changing the Y coordinate. To get the 2 focus points again, I need to do my c squared equals 9 minus 4, right? A squared minus b squared. So c squared is 5, so this is square root of 5. Again, if it's not a perfect square, just leave it as a square root. Okay, so when you're doing this, like the general idea is you need x squared divided by a number plus y squared divided by a number equals 1. I didn't put like a squared and b squared underneath there yet because whether it's going vertical or horizontal determines where the a squared and b squared go. So in terms of this one, if I wrote out the general form for it without numbers, this thing looks like it's stretched vertically, correct?
Yes.
So that means that a squared should go
Beneath the Y.
there, should be b squared.
I'm trying to learn yours.
Okay? Everything right now is centered at the origin, so that is my center. I just need to know to write this equation, guys. I just need to know how long that is. How long is that one?
5.
5. And I just need to know how long that is, which is what?
Back to step and
2.
explain why the A is under the Y. Oh, because vertical.
Vertical, yes. So once I have that, you're done. You just got to make sure when you plug it in that you actually square the numbers. That'd be your answer, but make sure you square the numbers. You're just gonna have to pull out A's and B's from whatever they give you. I've got major axis there, which, how did I say, what's involved with major axis, like what letter, A, B, or C? So this was 2A, correct? So if I know the major axis in this case is 12, I can divide that 12 by 2 to get A. All right, now again, just like before, really I don't know where those are to start with. I have to look at the points they give me. It just says major axis, it doesn't say vertical or horizontal. But when they tell me the focus points are plus or minus 5, 0, this is telling me, look, to get the focus points, they change the x coordinate. Okay, which means that if this x coordinate is the one that's changing, because again, everything's at 0, 0 to start, that means that the larger number needs to be under x. So I already know A, so I can make that 36. Okay. Out of A, B, or C, which letter do you generally use for the focus points, as it says? C. So since I have A and since I have C, I can find B squared, right? So C squared equals A squared minus B squared. Correct? Like I said, it? Yeah. Okay, so this would be 25 equals 36 minus B squared. So B squared is 36 minus 25. It's 36 minus 25. 11.
Wait.
Well, it's negative B equals 25 minus 36. I just changed all the signs.
Oh, I didn't do that. I got negative.
You got negative B squared equals negative 11.
So B
Cancel
squared is
that
11.
B squared.
So it's B squared, it's 11. There's no, guys, you don't need to find actual what B is because in the equation it involves B squared, so just take that and put in 11.
How did you know that A was going to be bigger?
We're gonna play poker and discuss this.
All right, so here it is. First thing I would do if I was doing this problem, I need the thing on the right-hand side there to be 1. So I got to change 1/4 to 1, and I would do that by multiplying by 4. Okay. So everything right now has to get multiplied by 4. So the 1/2 x squared would become 4x squared over 2. This would become 4y squared over 8. Be 1. That'd be a good first step. Okay? Then I would go about reducing them. Like 4 over 2 is 4 over 8 is 1/2. Okay? There's one other thing I have to do before I can start pulling out values.
You have to get rid of this.
What?
Saying you have to get rid of 2.
Yeah, I have to move the 2. Okay? If you run into this kind of issue where you've got like something x squared and it's over 1, this is equivalent to x squared divided by 1/2. If it was like 4x squared, that'd be equivalent to x squared over 1/4. So, okay, meaning that, and I would say write it that way because when we actually do the work here, this, remember, is a squared or b squared, and so is that. In terms of me trying to graph this thing, which on the problems you do, I'll probably have ones that are a little bit easier to graph. In terms of when I graph these, I need like A values and B values. Since these are both not perfect squares, I'd be kind of estimating how close they are. Like I'd give you ones that might be perfect squares. They're quicker to graph so you're not getting all confused. So with this right here, I've got A and B. I can pretty much graph what this look like by using simply A and B values. Because I know my center for all these is still 0, 0 because we're not doing shifts yet. In terms of this thing being stretched vertically or horizontally, 2 is a bigger number than 1/2. So I know this is a squared, which means it's going to be more vertical because it's underneath the y. Okay. It's pretty big. All right, so now here's the thing. For me to get the values I need, for graphing, really all I need is a major axis and minor axis. Okay, so my vertices and then just how far I need to go on the horizontal. So if a squared is 2, that means a is the square root of 2. If you're graphing this, like if I actually need you to graph it, you need to make this a decimal just so you can put it in the right spot. So what's square root of 2? What? I don't know. 1.4? 1.4. Okay? And then b squared is 1/2, so b should be square root of 1/2, which is what? Someone get that? Square root of 0.5? 0.71? 0.7 is fine. We'll do that. Okay, so that means that, again, like my major axis has a length of 2.8. The minor is a length of 1.4, right? This is 2A, that's 2B. Here's my center point. All right, when you graph this, all you got to remember is the distance on the major axis you would go is only going to be a length of A. So A is 1.4, so I'll say it's about right there. And that's about 1.4. So from here to here is 1.4. There to there is 1.4. Is that all right? Okay. Which means that this is actually considered a vertex at 0, 1.4. And this is the other vertex down here at 0, -1.4. All right. The minor axis is going horizontally. So this should be a value of 0.7. Right, that's 0.7, and this one should also be 0.7.
Wait, what?
What? From the center out to this one should be a length of
Where
B.
did you get that?
Huh?
That's the minor axis?
B. B tells you how far to go on the minor. The shorter axis, the smaller portion, which is horizontal because the smaller one's beneath the X, which is horizontal. What?
I don't know. I understood everything until we got to this one. I don't even know.
Where?
What. Just keep going.
Go
I'll
back.
ask you later because I don't even know what's going on.
Right. This is gonna look pretty bad. All right. Close enough.